Hi, this is Jen, coming to you from the great state of Maine with my second segment of Open Your Eyes. Open your eyes to the good stuff. Did you know that 68% of Americans say they get their news from various websites or search engines? In other words, news today, unsurprisingly, comes through social media. Can we rely on that news to be impartial, to be objective? No. Sadly, no, you can't, and here's why. Remember that news is a for-profit business. And remember what I talked about in my other video. What sells? What sells is war, weather, poverty, fear, and disaster. That's what sells. So I created this series to ask you and urge you to open your eyes to the good stuff. Do you remember back in 2014 when Facebook was discovered altering 689,003 viewers' news feeds? That's a lot. Facebook, again, I'll say that, back in 2014, it was determined that they had altered the news feeds of 689,003 of their users. They wanted to conduct an experiment, and so they took the news feeds and started putting in more negative news feeds to see the psychological impact. Now, I don't know about you, but I find this appalling. And they didn't break any laws, right? But they did determine, and they confirmed, that people tune in better to bad news. They tune in more to bad news. Facebook didn't break any laws. Google does it. Yahoo does it, right? They say that people who use those platforms have given permission for this. But what that does tell me is that we need to be our own best judge of how much good news, bad news, or any news we take in. We have to open our eyes to not be so naive as to think that the news is being reported with impartiality. I don't know at all that it is. In fact, I would say I don't think it is, because I know I hear a lot more of the disaster and fear and poverty information, and sometimes I just have to unplug, right? Here's 3 good pieces of news. When I look around my world and think about my day, I'm going to create my own news feed today. And here's what my news feed pops up with also. Again, not saying those bad things or these disasters are not real, not serious, because they are. But get some good stuff in your news feed. Number 1, my Honeycrisp apple tree is thriving this season. It hasn't produced apples in 7 years. 7 years, and this year it has decided to go crazy. And I love Honeycrisp apples, and I can't wait till they are ripe and good to go. Number 2, I hatched out 6 baby chicks, and I brought them to a day camp, and the children that I introduced them to were so wonderful with my chicks. They handled them with care. They fed them, they gave them water, and it was a delightful experience with so much laughter and joy. It was wonderful, wonderful. And in my own hometown, a good piece of news. The one-room schoolhouse museum, it has just reopened. It is one of only several hundred in the country, and the taxpayers in this town each They voted to restore it and get it open, and now school children come and see what life was like and what education was like back in 1857. And that's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful opportunity and quite interesting, quite frankly. So there's my 3 pieces of good news. So again, I'm not trying to stress you out. I just ask that you open your eyes to the good stuff that's happening around and give yourself permission to unplug. If you are finding the negative news to be too much to handle, especially if you are blind or isolated, please remember to unplug and give yourself some good news feeds too. This is Jen signing off. Bye.